Hey guys, it's Multiplier here. We're with Plugin Boutique, and in this video I'm going to show you something called Transify, which is a multi-band transient processor. And in particular, I'm going to tighten up some drums while of course showing you what all the little buttons and knobs do in this particular plugin. But first of all, let me show you what we have to work with here. It's some live drums at around 140 BPM. Great stuff, so it doesn't sound too bad, but I want to add a bit more emphasis on those bass frequencies for that kick drum. So I can go to the bass band here and turn on the transient processing for that particular band, and then adjust the attack to taste. Remember, the attack will enhance the transient for that particular band you're working with. Perfect, so now the transient on the kick drum is popping out that a little bit more, exactly what I wanted. The next step will be to adjust the cutoff between the bass band and the low mids, just so the bass drum doesn't get muddled up with, say, the snare drum for this particular drum loop. And that's as simple as adjusting the cutoff down here. So I'll change that a little bit, not too much, just down to say 145, 150 hertz or so. That way the bass band will just process the transients for the low end of the kick drum and not the snare drum or any of the other high frequency information. Now, a useful thing to be aware of about Transify is the clip control here. What that does is clip the output if, say, you turn up the attack a little bit too high. So if I turn up the attack quite a lot too high, you can hear those low frequencies clipping. However, if you just ease off on it, so you're just doing a little bit of this clipping, you can get some great results. However, for this example, I don't want to do any of that, so I'm just going to ease it back to around, say, 25, 30. Giving those low frequencies an extra bit of punch without going as far as that soft clipping. And then what I'll do is have a quick play around with sustain, I think, just to show you what that sounds like. Although I think for this particular sound, it might not be necessary. Let's have a quick go. So if it suited the mix, I think having that sustain a little bit left of neutral could be great, but since this is just a drum loop by itself, I don't want to thin it out too much, so I'll leave it back right at neutral, just like that. And let's now turn on the low mid band, which will mostly be that snare sound you hear. I'll go ahead and turn it on and have a bit of a play with the attack and sustain. Oh, perfect. So tightening up that snare without going too crazy. I personally find a lot of what you want to do in transient processing is just little tweaks here and there to tighten things up, although you can of course go completely crazy for creative effect if that suits what you're doing at the time. And then what I think I'll do is the same thing with the mid band, have a bit of a play to see what happens, taking note that the mid band is currently between 2000 Hz and 5000 Hz. Let's turn on the band and have a bit of a play. Again, another little tweak just to give that bit of extra something else, this time turning up the sustain that small amount to give a bit more of a shimmery sort of quality to it. It's quite hard to put into words. In fact, if I turn up the sustain a bit further, you can hear exactly what I mean. But of course, I just want a bit of that in a subtle way, so I'm just going to leave it that slight amount to the right of neutral. And I think that's sounding pretty much there. For completeness, I'll have a bit of a play around with the treble band too, which will be those really high frequencies. Although just listening to that drum loop, I don't think it needs anything else, but as I say, I'll have a bit of a play around just for reference. And just as I thought, the high frequencies in this example didn't need any additional work, but it's nice to have the band there if you need it. I'll finish off this video with a final before and after. I'll do one complete loop before Transify, then I'll turn Transify on and let it run for the complete loop. And there you have it. That's how you can tighten up your drums by doing multi-band transient processing using Transify. I've been Multiplier. Thanks for watching.